Hi, my name's Tracy, and that's my wife Ashley and our son Henry. And we're modern homesteaders. We live on 3 acres just off my grandparents' farm. Some people might think this lifestyle is crazy, but we wouldn't change it for a minute. Our landscape is constantly changing. Let's take a step back and let me show you how we got here. This is 1 year on a farm.
A small farm, yeah.
This week on Farm Alarms, 1 year on a farm, we show you an all-natural way to help ward off those pesky Japanese beetles. We're in the dog days of summer and the drought is in full force, so it's time to try an alternative food for the sheep. Ugh, gross and scary. And hey, whatever happened to those deer heads that we put in the lake for taxidermy purposes? Find out this week. Welcome to Farm Alarm. Alright, so we're out here at the blackberry patch, and you can see the blackberries behind me. They're doing really good. We're still a few weeks away from harvest, and we're turning it into a U-pig patch this year. We're really excited about that. But one thing that we're encountering this year, just like every year, is the Japanese beetles. And man, those things are so invasive. And you know, there's a few different ways to get rid of them. A lot of people put some chemicals on them, such as 7 Dust, and we're not really trying to do that just because we're advertising these as non-certified organic or all natural. And you know, we're just not really into putting the chemicals on them. And so, you know, so what do? You know, there's Japanese beetle traps. We did get a couple different ones of those. We're gonna try them out and see. But you know, people say that there's downfalls of those too. A lot of times I read on the internet that, you know, yeah, they'll trap a lot of beetles, but what that does is that even attracts more Japanese beetles, and that's horrible. So you know, it's kind of a, you know, toss up. You know, do you get the traps or not? So today we're going to be doing something that we've done over the last few years. It works really good for us. And you know, I said that we're encountering these Japanese beetles this year. We encounter them every year. And your best bet is manual collection. You're thinking, wow, how am I going to do that? Well, in a future episode, I'll show you exactly how we do that. But today we're going to be talking about what can we spray on these blackberry plants and still keep them, you know, organic or non-certified organic or all natural. So since we do have 5 80-foot rows you see behind me, it's blackberries for miles. And what are we going to do? We're definitely not going to get a pump-up sprayer and just keep spraying them constantly. That'll wear out my arm. We're going to run to town. I'm going to buy an electric sprayer because that's something that I've been wanting to do for the last few years, because it does take a lot whenever we manually spray these. And then I'll show you the exact mixture of mix that we're going to use that we spray on these things.
So this is the sprayer we decided to get. It's on sale for 60 bucks. It's a 12-volt sprayer. It's gonna work really good since our blackberry patch has expanded. We can put it on the back of the mower, we can put it on the back of the side-by-side and drive around and spray it instead of having to use a pump-up sprayer that we used to use and carrying it and having to refill it. This will work really good with our solution that we're gonna use, and it's gonna be really handy. The bottles of water have chickens on them.
My old boots got too small, so then I got new boots.
So our sprayer here is 15 gallons. We're going to fill this thing all the way to the top. And what we're going to do is we're going to mix it with some neem oil and some Dr. Bronner Sal Suds. And it works really good for different pests and stuff, but we find that it works decently good. We also like to spray these on our fruit trees, and this year we've got our first apples. We've got 6 apples on one tree. That doesn't sound like much, but man, we're so excited to have our own fruit growing. And they're pink lady apples. That's my favorite apple. All right, so we've got it filled up. Now time to mix in the neem oil and the Sal Suds, but on a small ratio. you would just do 2 tablespoons of the neem oil, 2 tablespoons of the sow suds to 1 gallon of water. And so this is a pint and this is a quart. So basically it works out really good that we can actually add this entire pint of neem oil to 15 gallons and a pint, you know, half of this quart of sow suds right in here. This is one of our Honeycrisp apple trees, and it seems like out of all the apple trees that they hit the Honeycrisp first and then they kind of work their way down. I'm not really sure why they prefer, you know, one leaf over the other, but you can see that they're just shredding this thing. And every year, you know, before we get out here and get these things sprayed good, you know, if we don't get out here in time, they'll just shred this thing. I mean, you see the Japanese beetles are on here like crazy right now, and you know, we're getting ready to take care of that, but they will annihilate this whole thing. But the really cool thing is that actually, if they were to strip this, like the first year before we even figured out about the neem oil trick, they had stripped a tree. I mean, it was just every nasty leaf that you see, the whole tree was like that. We sprayed it, and then within a week, we had all new growth on there. So super excited about this stuff. Definitely worth a try. Well, that was really easy. We actually went through almost all 15 gallons, and that allowed me to get a heavy dose of this spray on all the blackberries, all 5 rows of the blackberries, plus all of our fruit trees, which we don't have too many. And I'm telling you what, having this tank sprayer, this electric sprayer, beats having a pump-up sprayer any day.
There's mixed reviews online as if sheep will eat weeds or not. We have quite a few growing that we're going to pull out of our blackberry patch, take them to the sheep, and we'll see what happens. Hey, check this out. So as we were cleaning up our blackberries, you know, pulling the weeds and stuff, Tracy says, look, I think that's a bird's nest. And I was like, no, it's not. Well, anyways, it is. And there was some baby birds in it that didn't make it. So either the mom left and never came back, or they got ate up by bugs because there's a ton of bug poop in there. Sook, 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 sook. So this weed is horseweed, and they seem to like it. Well, it looks like the study's in. In fact, sheep do eat weeds.
It's been so dry here. You can see that we moved them back over here again. The grass is not growing and it's getting eaten down like crazy. The grass over there is not growing. Now you can see down on the very end there is some tall grass, but you know, we went ahead and moved them back up here. Gotta watch this guy, man. He's trying to headbutt me a lot right now. And as you can see, I keep looking at him as he's looking at me as well. But anyway, the grass is not growing. It's like 100 degrees this week. It's supposed to be 1,000 degrees next week. And so we had to get a hay bale up here. And this is the last year's hay bale. This has just been a horrible year for hay growth. I mean, it's just been a hot year. Anyway, no grass growing. No grass growing over here. we got to get these sheep growing, so we're giving them some old hay. So see, he really likes being petted. He likes being petted, but he also likes to try to beat me up. I'm just trying to get the battery so I can charge it, buddy. Here, walk over here with me. The stick works to get him off of me. So it's that time of year right now where garden spiders, those black and yellow spiders, are just everywhere in your garden, and they're just like swarming our greenhouse. I guess they're not swarming, but they're infesting in our greenhouse, right? And when I was a kid, one thing that I used to love to do was catch grasshoppers and throw in their webs and watch them just go up to them, and they would like spin them, and then sink their teeth into them, and they might not eat them at that point, but they'd wrap them up, and they would save them for later, I guess, if you will. I caught a grasshopper. We're going to throw it in this web. Oh, I hate spiders, especially these big black and yellow ones. They're so crazy looking.
And that tiny one was moving.
It was moving.
Yeah, but it stopped.
Oh, the grasshopper fell off. He's going crazy, man. Really crazy, because I came in here and seen all these last night, and that one there, there's a dead one right in the middle of that web, and that was not there. So I bet a spider that wasn't supposed to be there, kind of got in that guy's web, and I mean, it looks like he just sucked the life right out of him, because that guy is dead for sure. But I mean, look at all these things. There's gotta be careful I'm not setting on one, but one right there, one there, one there, one there, and there's even some small ones on the webs with some of them. You guys remember a few videos back, we did a standalone video of putting a couple deer heads in this lake right here, and the purpose of doing that was for doing some kind of a cheap taxidermy work. We like to do what's called a European style mount, which is basically just the skull and the antlers on a board, and it's a lot cheaper to do it that way. You could actually have somebody do it for 100 to 150 bucks. And what they do is they put they flesh out the deer skull, they put it in a barrel that has a bunch of flesh-eating beetles in it, and it eats all the flesh and all the nastiness off of that, and you're left with just a bare skull. Well, we figured out that you could actually just put the skull with flesh and everything in a lake, just usually a month to 2 months at the most. Today we're going to pull them out. I guarantee they're going to be green.
Is that your deer head, Daddy?
It sure is.
Look, there's a little one.
Yeah. Gross, huh?
All
right, so you could actually see that it's got tons of moss and everything just growing on it. Looks like a bunch of snails are even attached to it. So that's kind of really neat to know that snails are probably one of the big processes that actually get these things cleaned. This set of antlers is really strange because I've never harvested a deer where the main tines kind of take like a 90-degree angle facing each other. It's really strange. this is my wife's first buck that she ever killed last year. She harvested this, and you know, it's a small buck, but man, she was so proud of it. Looks like, you know, some of the bones kind of got rotted off there. I'm not sure if it was just in there too long or the fish started to eat the bone away, but these things will clean up really nice once they're power washed off there. So the next step is we're just going to take these to the power washer. They're going to clean up really nice.